income is when you're insolvent. So what does being insolvent mean? Being insolvent means that you have more debts or liabilities than you have assets. So a lot of people that are in a short sale situation, they're in that situation in which their debts are higher than their assets. So what does that mean? That, let's say, once again, looking at this example of the home that I owe $500,000, and I'm just getting back, $420, for example, huh? And we need to add, how much is your car worth? If you have any stocks or any investments, any assets that you would have, we would need to tally all those assets, and then we would need to tally all the liabilities or debts that you would have. So if your debts are higher than your assets, then let's say that they're higher by $50,000, then you can eliminate that debt cancellation income with that insolvency differential that there is.
Okay, interesting stuff. So when you're going through a short sale, Manuel, a lender's not going to allow you to do a short sale unless you can prove you're financially insolvent in the first place. So the same information or very similar information is the one that's provided to the IRS. Right now, personally, I don't want to talk to somebody like you. I can go in your office and say, hey, Manuel, can you help me with these forms? What do I need to do? Because, it's kind of like people who want to sell their home themselves. It's not always the best thing. You think you're saving money, but you're not always. And I don't dare mess with doing my own taxes. I don't even know, I barely found out what a 1099 was. My CPA does all that for me. But my point that I'm making is this is something, in my opinion, that requires the assistance of a professional. And what's interesting about that, folks, is we're not talking about thousands of dollars here. We're talking, I don't know, a couple $100 more or less to get this thing resolved with somebody like yourself at Latino Taxes. And the reason why this is a great investment is because, think about it, you could be, sitting on a $30,000, $40,000 tax bill by the IRS, when you have to sell your home for less than what you paid for. And, if you just spend $100, $200 on meeting with somebody like Manuel, you can actually put this information together, right? So what is it that you ask for when you do an appointment to prove financial insolvency? Are there certain documents that you ask for? What are they?
The documents that we require are any documents related to any assets that you own, as well as any documents related to any debts or liabilities that you would have. So the first thing we're going to require is, the closing documents, related to the home that you owe, as well as any credit card statements, any statements regarding to car loans, or any additional, debts or loans that you may have. And separate from that, we also want to tally any goods or assets that you own. So any statements from, investments, from, stocks, any portfolios that you would have. If you, own a car, for that you won't really have a statement, but, you need to come up with an estimate of how much the car is worth, or maybe we can look at the Blue Book value, things like that. So we're going to want to tally your assets and, as I said, tally your liabilities, and then based on that we can run some scenarios and tell you what your estimated tax bill would be for next year.
Okay, so do you also take into account, like for example, lenders, before they approve a short sale, they'll take into account like what your PG&E bills are, what your, what's in your checking account, what your other debts are, like child care and so forth. Do you do that too for financial insolvency, or is it just basically, in terms of assets versus liabilities?
You're going to look at, if they owe, child support, things like that, those are liabilities also. If they have, any money in their checking account, those are assets also. But you're not going to look at their expenses like PG&E bills. You're not really looking at what their income is. It's really more, how much they owe versus how much they have.
So it's a little bit different than what you're going to submit to the lender, because when you do a short sale, folks, and you're asking the lender to forgive you a certain amount of dollars of the debt that you owe, the lenders want to see basically that you're pretty much on your last leg. In other words, they want to know that, hey, you don't have $150,000 sitting in the bank somewhere and you're asking them to forgive you a $50,000 debt, because their thought is, well, I mean, why should I forgive your, $50,000 debt when you got a couple $100,000 in equity at another property? And it's not that easy, folks. Really, short sales are meant for people who have bought a home and maybe they can't make their payments anymore and they're afraid because they can't sell it because they owe more than what it's worth. There is a way out, and there are options, and there are ways to protect yourself from having a mega tax bill. And also, people seem to think that the lenders are going to go after you for the monies on an owner-occupied property that you bought if it goes into short sale. No, once your property's sold and everything, they're not going to go after anymore. They're going to send a 1099 to the IRS. So I guess the great news about that is that you do have options. If you are in a situation, or somebody who's in a situation where they can no longer make their payments and they're stuck and they think, I can't sell my home because it's worth more than what the balance is more than what the property's worth, don't worry, you can still sell your property by way of a short sale. And I would have to say, and I would venture to say that it would probably be a good idea to get in to meet with somebody like you as you're going through the process of putting your home on the market, and you go into the process and not wait until the last moment, right? Because the way I feel about it is, why not kill two birds with one stone? And I probably shouldn't say that because, you know, we're in an eco-friendly society here, but why not, you know, do two things at the same time at one shot? Basically, you're going to go in to meet with like Manuel Alvarez, and you sit down with the CPA, go over all your forms and everything you need for the short sale, use a lot of that similar documentation to prove your financial insolvency to the IRS,
yes,
right?
Definitely.
Okay.
So it's really important to do that, to come in and meet with someone that really understands what you're doing, and can, you know, give you some good advice as to what you should be doing and what you should not be doing. For example, the other day I met with some clients, and they had some, in addition to the, you know, the home, they had some other debts that they were actually thinking of, you know, I want to get rid of all these debts right away. But in reality, you know, that's not a good idea, because if you want to prove your insolvency, you know, it doesn't make sense to pay your debts right now.
Good point.
Pay them until after, you know, you've gone through the short sale. So it's little tips like that. Then if you see us in advance, then we can give you some good advice that's going to help you make better decisions.
So it's very similar to, you know, the thing where you probably should not be driving up to your ex-wife's house in a Ferrari, right? Because you may get a bigger bill than what you want it to be. Okay. Just a joke on that one, folks. But she's now driving the Ferrari. No, I'm just kidding. All right, excellent. So what about foreclosures? Do foreclosures have tax consequences also when somebody takes your home? I mean, how does that work?
You know, foreclosure is going to be a similar situation. Once again, if basically a foreclosure, instead of actually having sold the home, the bank is going to repossess the home at the end of a certain period, you know.
Right.
You're going to have 120 days, and then at that point, you know, the home is going to be, you know, the bank's going to try to sell that home, and if it doesn't sell, then it's going to be repossessed. You know, at that point, whatever amount that home was sold for by the bank, that's the amount that the bank is going to consider as the income that they received. And the difference between that amount that they received and what you owe them, they're going to still generate that 1099. So it's a very similar situation. The short sale is a little bit more advisable, you know, in most cases, because you're actually, you know, not waiting till the end, and you're actually controlling, you know, what the price of the of the home is going to be selling for. Whereas if the bank takes over, they're going to just basically go into a auction, and therefore, you know, the amount of money that they get for the home may be lower. You may be stuck with a higher tax bill because you get a higher 1099. So it's better to if you can, do a short sale instead of going all the way to foreclosure.
Excellent, excellent information. I had a client, I have several properties right now that are going to short sale situations, and you can bet that you'll be getting a call from each one of them. And I had one particular client say, hey, you know, Roberto, I talked to my lender, and he said that, I talked to a couple other people, and some of my friends told me that I should just walk away from the house and give it back to the bank, and I'm out of here, and it's better than doing a short sale. And I told him, it was exactly what I'm telling you folks here, that, you know, there's credit consequences also of a short sale and a foreclosure. On a short sale, you're going to have some credit consequences where your credit report's going to say more than likely settled for less than the actual debt. You may have a couple lates on your mortgage, because a lot of lenders won't even allow you to do a short sale unless you're at least 1 month late. So if you have some of these things, like, you know, a couple lates on your credit report, and you have, you know, the balance was settled for less than what it was owed, I mean, it's going to, no doubt about it, have a negative effect on your credit report, but it's not going to have that much of effect after 1 or 2 years. The first year, it's less. After the second year, it's very minimal, the effect that it has. But it is not nowhere near as devastating as having a foreclosure on your credit report. So if you have a foreclosure, you're going to have that showing up on your credit report 7 to 10 years. So it's going to be pretty tough for you to buy a home in the future. On a short sale, it's not going to. But on a foreclosure, it is. And I tell you folks, if you're out there and you're trying to decide, first of all, my encouragement is to do the best you can to keep your home, as long as you can make the monthly payment, because there's nothing worse than living in a property and, you know, making the payments and not having any money for food and not having money for gas and take care of the kids and all that other stuff. Because I actually see families that are in a situation where they have $4,500 to $5,000 a month mortgage payments, and they're making $5,200 a month. And I mean, I'm thinking to myself, how are you even making it? And they're telling me, well, I'm borrowing every month from my credit card so that I could pay my bills. That is not a way to live, okay? That's not a way to live. And then you have people who say, well, I'm going to renegotiate your debt for you, and I'm going to charge you this much, and I'm going to have them lower the mortgage payment. You know, even if they lower the mortgage payment $200 or $300, it's not going to make that much of a difference. So there comes a time where there are things that you can do to keep your home and make your payments. And then, as everyone knows, there comes a time when you just say you can't do it anymore. So if you are in a situation where, you know, you need to either refinance and get into a better loan, if you're current on your payments, you could do that. But if your other option is you can't refinance, you owe more than what it's worth, then it may not be a bad option for you to consider doing a sale as a short sale. And the tax consequences that you think are there can be eliminated by meeting with somebody like Manuel Alvarez, and I can go over the whole thing with you. But I just encourage people, you know, by all means, do what you can to not go into a foreclosure, because once you go into foreclosure, you're going to be facing some tough times down the road in terms of your credit report. Okay? Thank you, Manuel. That's awesome information.
Well,
okay, so what's your phone number? People want to call you and they want to make an appointment with you.
Our phone number is 408-294-6034. And, you know, because we're outside of the tax season right now, we really are making appointments. So if they can call that number and we're not there, you can leave a message and we'll get back to you and make an appointment.
Excellent. And I vouch for this guy. He comes on my radio show quite a bit, and if I vouch for him, there's a reason for that. He comes on my radio show quite a bit and gives us a lot of advice and so forth. He's a good guy to talk to. Heck, even if you want to just make a small appointment with him, going for a consultation before you even do anything, I suggest you doing that. And number again is 408-294-6034. 408-294-6034. Now, I want to remind you folks about a couple things. Number one, we want to remind you about the television shows that we have here. We're on every Wednesday night, and then I have a radio show in English at News Talk 1080 KSEO on your AM dial. Okay, if you want to tune in to my radio show every Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m., you can call me on the air. You can talk real estate with me. It's called Let's Talk Real Estate, so check it out. And also, if you are somewhere, a different part of the world or country, you can actually listen to my radio show via the internet. Just go to my website at letstalkrealestate.com. And for those of you who want to listen to our message in Spanish, tell them to tune me in every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. on 1370 AM Radio La Caliente. For more information, give me a call at 408-375-1635 or catch my Spanish television show every Sunday night here on Channel 15A at 7 p.m. For more information, give me a call. If you're looking to buy or sell a property, you want some of my free home buyer guides, I got some great stuff on my website. Check it all out at letstalkrealestate.com. Thanks again, Manuel, for being on our show today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching, because if it wasn't for you, we would be talking to ourselves. Have a super week, everyone. Bye-bye.